As ESR starts its 5th season of GT3 racing, we open a new series of touring car racing. 3 manufacturers and 10 circuits from across Europe and the US. Here's a little bit of what to expect in this upcoming season here at Evolution Sim Racing TCR Season 1. Good evening everybody, and welcome back to the Evolution Sim Racing Touring Car Championship tonight for round 8 here at the Road America circuit. A circuit known to many drivers for its combination of the long straights and its heavy braking zones, very technical cornering, and particularly the scenic run through the trees toward the end of the lap. The track situated just west of Lake Michigan in the northern state of Wisconsin, and the drivers find themselves with only 3 weeks to go before we conclude our championship. Ahead of them tonight though, a 6.5 kilometer circuit consisting of 14 corners with 6 to the left and 8 to the right. Particular attention to the tricky turn 9 carousel, and that corner will test the driver's patience and also the tread on their tyres, so let's keep an eye out for that as we head around the opening lap later this evening. For now though, as always, let's take a look at the sponsors for this series. First up, as always, it's Kame, the home and building automation experts providing integrated high-tech solutions for private homes, public venues and urban spaces. The GP2 Group, a management consultancy firm specializing in business acquisitions, property management and developments. AB Designs, bespoke sim racing liveries designed to your specifications across all the leading sim racing titles including iRacing and ACC. And Get Good, offering coaching and guidance via a new online self-paced learning package that is accessible, in-depth and effective. So if you're interested in improving your iRating, be sure to get in touch, and let's hear a little bit more about this from Marianne himself over at Get Good Racing.
Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out getgoodracing.com. I've coached hundreds of drivers, from real-life racers to sim enthusiasts, who experience rapid improvement after just one session. And while investing in top-notch hardware is great, imagine how much more you can elevate your experience by adding coaching to the mix. My methods are practical, aiming to break down complex concepts into easily digestible bits that are simple to understand. You can find reviews of the sessions I've conducted on the Fiverr link provided in the video description. Let's elevate your racing skills together. Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out the Get Good course. Instead of just understanding concepts, you'll learn how to implement them directly into your driving. What makes it effective is the approach and practical drills. Together, we're gonna focus on breaking down those complex concepts into small digestible bits that are simple to understand. Everything from the course was tested and refined during the years in coaching sessions, so what I ended up with was the ones that I saw were the most effective. Let's elevate your racing skills together.
Well, it's Monday night once again, and we are back for the 8th round of the Evolution Sim Racing Touring Car Championships. Truly now into the business end of the season. Just 3 weeks to go, 9 races left. And by the end of tonight, we'll really start to see how the table is likely to stand come the final round in just a couple of weeks' time. So first, as always, the Pro Class standings. Wojtek Twidovic continuing to lead the way. That gap now 61 points down to Mateusz Penteler. And the record speaks for itself, I think, for Wojtek. We praise him pretty much every week. And tonight, he is continuing that work. Last week, actually, not too... Well, it's still good, but he's not had a week without 2 podiums throughout the entire season. So, is that a hint for Penteler, who's been strong and has been pretty strong and pretty consistent over the last few weeks, for sure. So Wojtek leads the way. Penteler in P3 and Luke Lucchese for RDSA Esports still hanging on to that top 3 spot. Interestingly, actually, it's the same top 7 this week through Kirby, Chioka, Yayan and Vyman. And again, an unfortunate result for Duncan in the final race. And Vyman is hanging on to what he has below him there. As for Jeremy Chioka and Yayan Sichby, those guys very close together. Only 6 points separating the G League and the Aura Motorsports cars. In P8, it's Johan Ferry, another South African driver for JFR. He missed the second and the third rounds, but he still managed to hold the points good enough for P8. 18 points the difference from Vyman. So, still an awful lot to play for. Ryan Otten's in P9 for Alpha 1 Esports. He's on 404 points. So again, gaps starting to appear from 3rd to 4th, and particularly down here from 8th to 9th. James Holman gets himself up into the top 10. He found himself in P11 this time last week. And Cowlishaw, unfortunately, dropping down from P9 to P11 in the matter of 1 week. And he even got himself that race 3 P2 finish. But unfortunately, not enough to keep him where he was. Matt Hoyland down there, missing out like Cowlishaw on one of those driver trophies. He's still comfortable in P12 and not too far off the back of Cowlishaw. So a good result for him. Hoyland will be hoping to get his hands potentially on a podium before the end of the season. His best chance was in the opening round when he got that P4 finish in the second race. And since then, he hasn't got himself into the top 5. So let's keep our eyes on, particularly in the 2 reverse grid races, to see if Hoyland can get himself a strong result. In the AM Championship now, the top 2 remain the same. James Howarth and James Bostock still leading the way, only 17 points behind. However, I'm aware that there may be a missed round or 2 by some of these drivers, so fingers crossed we don't lose that competition, because a 17-point gap with 9 rounds remaining leaves so much room for error that we're bound to see something dramatic before the end of the final race. Rob Smith has promoted himself up into the top 3 for the first time, I believe, all season. Andrew Fellows drops out of the top 3. He spent most of it, I think, in P1, and then he didn't have his most consistent spell. I'm looking there around 3 and round 5, maybe, and round 6. Yeah, so, oh, sorry, I was looking at the wrong guy there. Yeah, Andrew Fellows dropping out for the first time, so he'll need to get back on the horse after failing to get into the top 10 at all last week. I'm sure he will, just 13 points separating him from Rob Smith for Flatline Racing. Max Nevincharny, what a second half of the season he's having. He's had some fine form ever since he got those wins in the 5th round, and he now finds himself up into the top 5. He has moved up a position or so every week for the last few weeks. In P6 this time last week, and now up into P5 and into the top 5. Robin Aston, another man of notable mention. 5 podiums in his last 6 races. After really there, he's got 2 podiums before that, but he's struggled with a couple of DNFs. All of a sudden, he's found himself bang in the rhythm right at the start of the second half of the season. He moves up from P10 into the top 6. Daniel Saunders next in P7. He failed to finish the final race this time last week. Closely followed by only 14 points to Hussein Saraka Desla. Got himself up on the podium, but it wasn't enough for him to change position. Huss remains where he was as from last week. The same can be said for Rob Mackay, who was unavailable last week. Yes, he's abroad at the moment, and he did tell us that in the interview after the race. So I believe Rob, is he here? I'm not sure. I don't see him in that quick scan, so Rob Mackay might not be with us once again. Oliver Lumsden, who I believe is serving a quali ban this week from an accumulation of license points. So he drops, in fact, no, he goes up from 11th into the top 10. However, with Gareth Newton only 3 points behind him and serving that quali ban, the first couple of races might be a little bit painful for Oliver. Dennis Collar, I believe also for the first time, steps up onto these sheets and gets himself into the top 12, 369 points. So he's very, very far from Gareth Newton. I'd be surprised if anybody can break into that top 11, although still lots and lots of points to play for. I'd be interested to see how close the guys behind Dennis are, because I'm sure it won't be that much. We could see some fluctuation down there outside the top 10 before the end of the season. Team standing next, Team Suma GP2 Honda continue to lead the way on 1,326 points. That's Hussein Sarkadesla, Gareth Newton and James Bostock, who are doing well for themselves at the moment. RD Sim Sports, with the likes of Holmond and Pentela battling toward the front of the Pro Class. These guys can definitely do some damage, and they're not too far behind. Some good results for those guys and some poor results for the Suma guys could see those two swap positions. Same can be said for Rob Smith, for Flatline, with the likes of Rob Smith doing well to promote himself into the top 3 in class. Those guys are closer to the top 2 than they are to first, so those guys could be changing positions anytime soon as well. The Audi guys of DXT, it's Hoyland, Howarth and Francois, doing quite well for themselves, but they've slowly and slowly dropped further down that table as the season's gone on, so they need to keep it going for sure. I got caught up there by someone spinning off the circuit. G-League still going strong. I say this every week, thinking that I might look at these standings and see that they've moved, but they haven't. The two-man army is still going very strong, and RDSA not really closing in that gap. Still over 100 points between the two teams, and again, a lot can be scored and a lot can be lost. But if the RDSA boys don't get their fingers out soon, then that might not happen. The sister team, the Suma GP2 Honda guys down there as well, they could be in with a chance of a top 6 for sure. And the other DXT Honda team of Mackay, Weir and Wesley, with Octane Racing of Ian Stitchbury, Josh Ostick and Owen Seward. And then MRC and Brooks Racing Development down there with a huge gap of over 500 points from the top 9. Quick look over the incident ratings as things stand at the moment. It's Wojtek who still leads the championship and leads these standings. Jan Stitchbury gets himself up into the top 3, and Matthias Pentela the same. Kind of got a big gap actually to Holman. That'll require some big work if he fancies himself one of these vouchers. Aston, Nevin Charney and Fellows leading the way, and it's a lot tighter down there in the AM class than it is in the Pro class. Gareth Newton could do well for himself, but Fellows knows that if he wants to get his title challenge back on the rails, he needs to also keep his car on the circuit. And I'm sure he and the likes of Nevin Charney, and indeed Aston actually, are all men in form at the moment. And them keeping it on the circuit's definitely a way to see that continue. So then, we are slightly earlier than we normally are, but not by too much. Let's take a quick look then at how the standings get on at the moment. We join a lot of the cars in the pit lane as the session is about to close. I'd be surprised if anyone makes their way for the pit exit, because they won't even get round to the end of the second sector at this rate. Luke Lucchese, look at that, Luke Lucchese leading the way at the moment by just under a tenth of a second. Normally, when we cut to practice, we see Wojtek leading the way sometimes by quite a comfortable margin. But this time, it's Lucchese who tops the timing sheets. Wojtek and Pentela very close behind. Chioka and Furi the same, and then a bit of a gap down to Yayan. You can see that one of the Suma Hyundais pulling over to the side, returning to pit road. He is coming in. Hoyland does get one more lap under his belt. It's a 2:20.7. 1.6 seconds the difference between him and Lucchese at the top. And Robin Aston leading the way very, very close there. Max Nevenchani 11 1,000ths of a second behind, sorry. So Robin Aston, again, we alluded to his form. And if these standings are anything to go by, he will start pretty strong come the end of qualifying. So then, the usual format tonight, the 3 20-minute sprint races without a mandatory pit stop. It'll be dry throughout, and we're using the fixed setup. We'll have one race, which is determined by the qualifying order here, and then we'll have a second race where we reverse the top 10 finishers, and then the third where we reverse the top 15. So far, it's gone quite well. Notably, the standards at Nürburgring weren't too great, but since then, and frankly prior to then, things have been pretty good. We watched the Pro Class race winner in the feature race from last week, Ian Stitchbury, making his way around the circuit. We'll keep our eyes on the Aura Motorsports guy, who comes in with a high level of confidence after finishing the last race by over 5 seconds to his nearest rival. We did see the likes of Lucchese, Otten, Svidovic, and was it Pentala battling away? I don't think it was Pentala, actually. It was somebody else battling away on the final lap. All the while, this man just strode on into the lead and converted a pretty dominant race win, his first of the season. He got a podium in Spa, which was his first, and then the first race win this time last week. And now he heads through the left-hander under the bridge at turn 6. I was doing some laps around here in the GT3 car last night, and that corner is just a little lift. It'll be interesting to see how it changes in this different class of cars. And we'll watch Ian, although we won't be too hypercritical because he is on an outlap and the tyres will not be anywhere yet. But this is that tricky turn 9 where you can really find time, but often at the expense of the condition of the tyre. This circuit pretty right-hand dominated, and those right-handers can be quite aggressive on the outside left tyre. You can hear the left screeching there as Ian wrangles the car through the corner. And temps can get pretty high, particularly on the left-hand side, which means when you come to those left-handers, you maybe don't have as much grip as you might expect on the colder right side of the car. You can use all the exit there and run right onto the apron. Right tyre over this curb. Let's listen. Very light lift there, 10-20% lift at most. Pretty similar to GT3. You feel the car come light and then it compresses as it reaches the top of the curb. And let's watch on with Guy, and then as he sets away on his first lap of 4 tonight. Jeremy Chioka not far behind Yayan, Wesley, Diamond, Nevenchani and Aston also coming through turn 1 now. Wojtek the same, he comes through turn 9 as well. Jan Ferry went quite aggressive on the outlap. He sets purple sectors in 3 of the 6 sectors. We'll catch up with him as he crosses the line and see what differs between he and Yayan. Turn 6 again, a tricky 90-degree left. The lift and down through Hurry Downs, it says on my track map here. The Hurry Downs straight. Not sure if that's a person or not. Through turn 8, around the carousel at 9. Watch it from the offboard this time. It's very easy to get one of those left tyres over on the grass if you take a little bit too much speed. It looks good and then all of a sudden it's not. And if you do dip a tyre in the grass, you're probably going to spin round. Do the kink, is it flat? Could be. Probably is. We'll ride on board later and we'll see if it's flat. Yain now heading down through 11A. The kettle bottoms. According to this again and through Canada Corner at turn 12. Again, you can run quite far wide, which Yain does, making the most of the track limits. We're going to have Sutherland, Pentela and Chioka across the line very, very shortly. But we'll finish what we started and we'll follow Yain all the way. It's the first time on the board. Matthias Pentela at 2:19.7. Sutherland and Cowlishaw next across the line. Johan Fourie takes provisional pole position by a tenth of a second, and Yain Sitchbury slots into the second row of the grid, nearly dropping out. Swiatovic across the line with a 19.2 3-second gap. A 3/10th gap between he and Fourie. Here's Max Nevinciani, the man in form at the moment in the AM class. So he sets off on his second lap. It all started going quite well for Max. From my memory, I would say probably the Nürburgring. Potentially Spa. I think he had a good result in Spa, and then he turned up at the Nürburgring and did very, very well for himself. As unfortunately had one of his races ended prematurely. But that hasn't disturbed him too much, and he's still doing very well for himself. And slowly, slowly climbing up that championship, and as we said, now into the top 5. And he'll have his eyes set on that top 3, and what a result that would be if he can pull it off. No expectation, because he has not been in the running, and now all of a sudden he is. But it will be a hell of an achievement if he can get himself at least firmly into that top 5, let's say. Let's not put too much pressure on him. James Howarth currently leading the way at the top of the AM class, the provisional pole time. Let's bring up the gaps. 1.7 seconds currently separating the top of both of the classes, and 3/10, and well, best part of half a second separating the top 5. Here comes Max then through toward the kink. Let's listen on. Turned in quite early there, earlier than, well, at least than I would in a GT3 car. But it was easy, flat, no question about it. Matthias Pentela sets the purple sector in the first sector, but he's not up on his time in the third. Very wide there. Well done though. Wide and well done. Making the use of the track up and over the curb. That's turn 11A. Not sure why it's an A. Why is it not just a... Oh, that's right. That's turn 13. My mistake. Willem Boyter and Mark Wesley across the line, and here comes Nevinciani. Is he going to be able to improve and take the provisional pole time in class? Let's see. No, he doesn't improve his time. It's going to be Ottens who heads down toward the line now. An improvement in the first part of the lap, but down in the second. Does improve, but he doesn't take a position. Here's James Holman next across the line. He's currently in the top 5. He needs nearly 2/10 to dislodge Lucchese. Is he going to be able to find it? Doesn't look like that was a valid lap time. There's Matt Hoyland now up and over the final little rise as he head down from 14 across the line to 1. Luke Lucchese trying to get himself toward the front row of the grid. Matthias Pentela has brought the time down by less than 1/10 of a second. And he and Swiatovic sharing pretty much the same part of the track. Lucchese does improve to 1:19.5. Not enough to get anywhere near the front row of the grid at the moment though. Here's Wojtek as he heads around toward the back of the track. Through the trees, on through turn 11. Comes now, Pentela. Up through the fast 13. One final braking zone to go, and then he will start his final flying lap. Runs very wide. I think that's just within track limits. Johan Faree, purple sector 1. Jeremy Chioka dislodging Willem Boyter, and almost sequentially there, Rob Sutherland dislodging him too. Now down into P10 is Boyter. Suridovic does not set an improved time. What about Pentela? He's now making his way around. James Howarth still leads the way, and Nevin Charney and Howarth fail to improve. A poor lap by Nevin Charney. He's got one more chance. Andrew Fellows currently sitting in P4. Let's see the result by class then. Very, very close. Oh, that's very wide. Very wide by Pentela. That will be an off track. Holman now the next across the line. Doesn't look like he's improving either. And Rob Smith next over the timing beam. And Holland does set an improved lap time of 2:20.8, but not enough to take Willem Boyter. Robin Aston has entered the pit lane, so he will start on the second row of the grid in class. And where's Nevin Charney? He's still looking to improve. Howarth also in the pit lane. And Max has set a personal best in the second sector. Oh, I think he just lost the rear of the car there, as he came through turn 8. Now the carousel through 9. Matthias Pentela setting a good purple sector 1, but failing to improve in any of the next sectors. So guys in the pit lane. Svidovic still out there. He's about to set one more lap. Pentela is done. Lucchesi will have one more lap, as will Holman. But all eyes for now on Nevin Charney as he comes through the final corner. Again, a little screech on the tyres there. Pushing the limits, and he comes up and over the brow. Is this going to be an improvement? Is he going to be able to dislodge? It's only half a tenth that he needs. And he didn't get it, didn't set an improved lap time. That's Nevin Charney done. Collar is next. And it looks as though we're not going to have too many guys left on the track. Rob Smith coming around. Rob Mackay coming around. So Rob is back with us. James Bostock is done. He's down there in P10 in class. He won't be too pleased with that, particularly with Andrew and James up there in the top 4. He's the man currently in P5, very wide. That could be an off track for Dennis. Let's see what Rob Smith can do as he comes over the brow. Pretty steep incline there. He needs just over half a tenth to get himself into the top 5, and he gets it. It's a 2:21.4. Just enough by best part of 3/100ths of a second to get ahead of Dennis Collar. However, I was going to say Dennis is still driving, but no, he isn't. That, I believe, is everybody. Yes, Bostock doing some practice starts, which we always like to see. Something that I don't see too often, actually. Maybe I missed it, but we've caught James doing that now a few times at the end of qualifying, and it's a very good idea. So that's it then. That is qualifying concluded for the time being. So we wait for the grid, and it's very well done by all the guys in the pro class. Unfortunately, apart from Paul Cowlishaw, he's down there in P19 overall with 7 AM drivers ahead of him. So tricky night ahead for Cowlishaw. However, if you just had a blip in qualifying, and if that's not actually his true pace, then it could stand him well at getting a chance at the front of the grid for the reverse order. Still 30 seconds to go here in qualifying before we look ahead at the grid. But looking up and down those timing sheets as well. Two teammates there of Hussein and James down there, P21, P22. They'll be starting and sharing the grid together. And it's really interesting to see the pace up and down the grid. Not too many drivers sharing the same 1/10 of a second. And as you look further and further down, 3.9 seconds separating the whole field, which is to be expected, you know. But interesting nonetheless. So that is the session over. We can take a look now at the grid for this upcoming race. Wojtek Studovic once again takes pole position with a time of a 2:19.2. Closely followed by Matthias Penteler for RD Sim Sports. He starts a 1/10.5 behind the pole. Luke Lucchese and Johan Ferry share the second row of the grid with Jeremy Chioka and James Holman on the third row. Ryan Ottens for Alpha 1 Esports. He's over half a second behind on pace from Studovic, with Rob Sutherland for the second RD Sim Sports driver, starting down there in P8. Jan Stichbury, Willem Boy to the top 10, with Matt Hoyland in P11 before we reach the pole man in the AM class. It's James Howarth for DXT Audi Motorsports, 1.8 seconds off the time of Wojtek. Max Nevincharny and Robin Aston in the top 3 at the moment, with Andrew Fellows and Rob Smith the top 5. Dennis Collar, Daniel Saunders and Paul Cowlishaw out of position, with Steve Rubino the top 20. Dennis Collar, Hussein Sarkadesla and James Bostock sharing that row of the grid as teammates, with Gareth Newton in behind. In fact, look at that, all the Honda drivers sharing the same piece of tarmac, with Rob Mackay, Danny Weir for, and again, look, the 3 DXT Honda drivers, Honda for Suma and DXT, sharing all of that grid spot. Jimmy Vyman and Oliver Lumsden not setting lap times. Vyman perhaps by choice, but Oliver serving that qualifying ban. It's probably good to remind that we also have a drive-through for this man, James Howarth, who has accumulated, well, from the same penalty that he had last week. He served the qualifying ban, and now he is serving the drive-through penalty. So he starts on the front of class, but he'll soon be entering the pit lane. For now, though, it's time to get underway for the opening round here at Road America, and Wojtek leads the way, and it's a good start, and he's already kind of getting away from Penteler and Lucchese in behind as all the cars now steam down toward turn 1. It's quite a long run. Wojtek moves over to the outside line, actually. Doesn't feel the need to defend the inside, and Ottens, Burri, Penteler and Lucchese awfully close in behind him. There's been an incident down there for Wesley and Mackay, have lost some positions. And all the first sector times now coming in. Side by side there, G-League and Holman. Let's see what's going on further down the field there. We see the flatline drivers, followed by a cluster of the Suma guys. And we've got some moves going on there. Steve Rubino slow in behind. That's Hussein Sarakadesla, who's got himself past. And who's this? It's Andrew Fellows who's down there, who's lost a few positions at the start by the looks of things. And Huss moves to the outside. He's going to go for the double overtake here. Will he get it slowed down? It looks like he will. There's chaos up ahead. Bit of door bashing there between Bostock and Fellows around the outside. Huss doesn't quite, I don't think, get that move stuck. But it was a great attempt at the inside of both of those cars. Just couldn't get the run on the exit. What a start there toward the back of the field. Wojtek has Penteler and Lucchese for company at the front, but a nice gap now down to Chioka over 1 second already, and he is under pressure from Holman. So Ryan Ottens was caught up in an incident, and Johan Ferry went off the circuit as well. Let's take a look at the order in class. So great start by Matt Hoyland, up 3 places. And equally for James Bostock, he's up 4 places. But Johan Ferry, Ryan Ottens, Hussein Sarakadesla down 6 places. And the top 3 and the top 2 in each class respectively remain where they are. There's James Howarth actually putting the pro-class driver of Willem Buiter under some pressure. Buiter holds on to what he's got. They've got Johan Furey in behind. So he's got some pace that these guys might not. And there is Howarth into the pit lane to serve that penalty. Evan Charney pressured from Smith in behind. It's P5 versus P3 in the championship. These guys with so much to fight for. Willem Buiter off the track. Is he going to rejoin? Okay, yes, he's back. And that might allow Johan Furey up the inside. Yes, it has. Furey now getting himself past. And immediately putting pressure on Matthias Penteler. Rob Sutherland even. In the RD Sim Sports machine. Over to the inside line goes Furey. And he gets that move done. Slots himself now up into P8. Next target is Hoyland. And he can set his eyes on some clean air in front. And put in some clean lap times. Big pack here. These cars in a massive train at the moment, really. Starting from Evan Charney all the way down to Jimmy Vyman there. Who's putting all sorts of pressure under Dennis Collar. In fact, it could be enough pressure here to make a move. Let's see, are we going to see him appear on the left-hand side? Yes, there he is, and he sweeps through. Collar leaves him more than enough room. But Rob Mackay too far back to make anything of that mistake. Seeing now 3 Suma cars chasing down the 2 flat lines. And is this Robin Aston? Yes, it is. Robin Aston peeling out to the right-hand side before the kink, but not able to get a move done. He might have now off him set. Oh, the teammates collide. That's Bostock in the barrier. That's a huge impact. And that was Cowlishaw. I think that was Cowlishaw on Bostock. Wow. Huge incident there. We saw it actually without even having to change the angle. Let's see what happened there. I'm not sure who that was. Let's see. Do we get anything from this? Yeah, you can just see it ahead there. That's Cowlishaw. Cowlishaw, Aston. 3 Suma cars tangled up in that mistake. I really want to find a better replay of that because that was crazy. Let's see the 3 cars ahead. Yeah, it's the Hyundai who comes out onto Bostock, who cleans out the number 26. That's not Robin Aston according to my timing sheets. I'm not sure. I think that is Robin Aston though. Wow, crazy for the Suma guys there. Both teams affected. Bostock now limping back to the pit lane. Crazy understeer. Look at the damage on the front left. That tyre has seen better days, the poor thing. And he comes back across the circuit and into the pit lane. That was crazy. Johan Furey behind. We said his next target was Hoyland, and within 1 lap, he has dispatched that position in the same corner. And now we'll see it again. Next target, Ryan Stitchbury. We know he had a poor start, down 6 places. So he's definitely got the pace of the top 5 drivers. Let's see if he can catch up with Ryan first, and then Holman. Oliver Lumsden has had an incident. That's a terrible angle. He goes up the inside of 2 cars, is that? And I don't think Mackay, I'm not sure if it was Mackay, saw that coming as such. Let's watch that again from this angle. No, not from that angle. From this angle. All the way, it's Weir, Mackay. Mackay turns in, doesn't expect him to be there, although he was ahead at the apex. It was a risky move, another DXT machine going off the circuit. That's Lumsden round, having started at the back of the pack. Gap of 1.7 seconds now separating this man from the top 3, and he's under pressure from Holman behind. These 2 similar pace, yeah, only about half a tenth separating these 2 drivers on the last lap. Bostock, I think his night is over. He left the pit and then went back into the pit lane. Vyman off the track, Saunders off the track, and lots of positions lost for Saunders as he spun around here. Oh, there's another car involved. That's one of the G League cars. Let's see what happened here between those two drivers. Same place again. Oh, he just comes over, the flat line comes over, and he puts both of those drivers in the wall. And you can see the new damage model doing really well on the front left there. Let's watch that one more time, because it looks as though he just comes out a little bit the flat line. Oh, he just gets up on the grass, and that probably unsettles his run. If he turns on the grass, he'll spin the car. I think he's trying to come off the grass a little bit, but the G-League car was very, very tight to his right-hand side. Didn't leave him, well, didn't need to leave him room, but he, unfortunately, hadn't left him enough space in some way. Matthias Penteler not letting Wojtek get away as we rejoin the drivers at the front of the field. Lucchese not far behind either. Howarth, having served that drive-through, finds himself now in P11. Let's keep our eyes on his pace. But he's got a massive gap of nearly 6 seconds to Lumsden, who's already had an incident. Hussein and Gareth, the teammates, swapping positions. And there's two more teammates swapping positions. It's Rob Mackay up the inside of Danny Weir, who slots back into the slipstream, and they've also got Mark Wesley in behind as well in the DXT Audi Motorsports machine. Caldershaw, oh, Weir's lost the car, and he's in the wall, and he's back on the track, and he's taking his teammate out, I think. No, he made contact with his teammate. But not enough, and Fellows and Weir both off the circuit. I'm not sure what's happened to Andrew. We'll try and find that in a moment. Drama there for Danny Weir, just as his teammate took him. Or was it Mark Wesley? Have I clicked on the wrong guy? Was it Mark Wesley that went into the wall? No, it was. It's Danny Weir. There he is with the missing front bumper. Matt Hoyland defending from Willem Boyter as they head through the final corner. Willem got the speed. Don't spin him around. You can tell Willem has the speed. And over the crest. Is he going to think about making a move into turn one? Let's ride on and find out. Penteler only 3/10 behind Sudadovic for the lead of the race, and Chioka under masses of pressure from James Holman, who's got nobody behind him at the moment. So he can focus purely eyes forward, doesn't have to check his mirrors. And that is Holman now past Chioka and past each other again. Let's catch up with that as they go side by side, giving each other plenty of space as they head through the flat turn 4. Weimann ahead, and he has the inside line. That's Chioka, sorry, Chioka ahead, and he has the inside line. Oh, and to carry the speed there to Holman. Nearly did it well. Is he going to move to the inside? Two cars there. It's Hoyland and Boyter going side by side on the exit of turn 5. Boyter does get himself past into that position. Let's see how we got it done. Probably under braking, I would imagine. Yeah. Hoyland doesn't defend too much. And Boyter moves up the inside. Hoyland leaves him the space and gets on with the race. Chioka and Holman towing each other around the track through the kink at turn 11, and you've got to be really careful when you're following a car so closely. All the grip and all the downforce can suddenly disappear through such a high-speed corner like that. Although you put a maximum load on the tyres, so theoretically it shouldn't be too bad. The closer you get, the definite more risk that you have. Danny Weir and Steve Rubino now under blue flags. And Saunders, Bostock and Aston, so two of the Suma guys, one in each team. And the flatline car that we saw earlier out and done in the opening race here. So a long night ahead of them there. You can see the 4 cars in the pit lane. The other was Jimmy Weimann, the team of this man here, Jeremy Chioka. So Weimann also out of the running. That leaves now 12 in each class. battling for the remaining points. Hoyland made a mistake and went off the track. You can see the dust just being kicked up there in the back, and he's got Max Nevinciani, who leads the race. Obviously, having Howarth serve the drive-through, Max takes that position. I've been a little bit vacant of the standings amongst all that drama, but Nevinciani does lead, and he's got a nice gap. You can see Rob Smith just behind him, 4 seconds the difference. It's something difficult to take just on the track. It would probably require Max to make that mistake, but as we keep saying, he's the man in form at the moment, and I'm sure he'll have enough in the tank to bring it home with just 7 minutes of this race remaining. Absolutely flown over at the start. Back at the front though, it's Pentela still chasing Svidovic, and Lucchesi just dropping back ever so slightly, nearly a second difference now, but Pentela, well, still within that tow, still within a chance at a race victory. He's not letting Svidovic get away with anything anymore. There was a time when I thought Svidovic was just going to absolutely wipe the floor, but Pentela has definitely been giving it to him a little bit more ever since the Nürburgring and Spa. I think he was all over him there, and he's got himself a handful of wins. These two sharing the podium an awful lot so far this season, and Lucchesi, but I believe Lucchesi yet to get that race win, which he'll be so desperate for, but he's running out of races to get it. These two still towing each other around. Holman needs to get this move done. He's clearly got the pace. Just can't quite find the opportunity, but that could be one. That could be one with Chioka dipping the left tyres into the gravel. That's really going to offset his pace. And you can see the speed that he's carrying Holman, but they've just about leveled out now that he's come out of the slipstream. It's Honda versus Audi, and at the moment the Honda has been got through, and he's on the inside line. Let's see as they head side by side through turn 1. That's Holman now up into P4. Yain the same this time, putting Johan Furi under some pressure. And actually, Johan Furi must have got past Stitchbury in the same fashion that we just watched. Those guys have just swapped position. Hussein has just passed his teammate Gareth Newton down there to get himself into the top 5. 5 minutes to go in this opening race, and let's take a look at how the standings are at the moment. So Max 2.3 seconds away from reverse grid pole, which will find Hoyland taking that grid slot as things stand, and he'll share it with Willem Boyter. Bostock now back onto the track, a lap or so down. I think he actually left the pit and then went back in for the second time. He's back onto the circuit. Battle for P7, for P6 even, in the AM class. It's Hussein Sadikadesla, who we saw overtake his teammate earlier on, and Rob Mackay less than half a second behind Gareth Newton. Some cars buzzing past the camera through turn 9. 2 Hyundais. Carloshow, you can see there with that damaged front, particularly the front right, that'll affect his pace in a straight line. Fellows holding on at the moment, and hopefully if Carloshow gets past, he gets past cleanly. You don't want to see anybody cross class getting tangled up. At the front, Wojtek 1/10 of a second quicker than Pentela on that previous lap. So Mateus still not able to claw back some of that distance, and Lucchesi is now over a second behind, so he too can't quite keep up with their pace at the front. Willem Boyter and Matt Hoyland still battling it out. We saw Boyter taking that position into turn 5. The RDSA Esports lime green driver. First down by the DXT Audi. Also kind of lime green, but a little bit more yellow. And now Hoyland is very close here. Is he going to make a move? Boyter does not defend the inside line. Hoyland under braking. The same place where he lost the position. And he regains and moves himself up into P9, which I believe will swap those two guys round. Oh, and Fellows has been passed by Carloshaw, but he's okay, and you can see that damage still. He's okay. He was done before they really got to the apex of that corner. Newton side by side. They've got Rob Mackay around his outside, who dips a toe in the gravel. Oliver Lumsden will be liking what he's seeing at the moment, thinking that he can get two places if these guys slow each other down enough. It's the battle for P6. And Hoyland and Boyter still going. Boyter has a little bit of a run as they head through the kink. And Boyter lifted, I think. Maybe a little bit conscious of how close he was to Hoyland ahead. Lifts and just almost moves offline. He kind of exited the corner on the right hand side of the track there quite early. Now under braking. Into turn 12 up the hill toward 13. Boyter, the road. Starting to come undone for him a little bit. He's not quite putting Hoyland under the same kind of pressure that he was earlier. I'll tell you who is putting him under the same kind of pressure though. Matthias Penteler. He's now within 3/10, or within 4/10 of a second. And Lucchesi there, his time plummeting away. So podium, the best that Lucchesi could probably get in this race. And this will be the final lap of it. Max Nevinciani has kept up that form, 5 seconds ahead of his nearest rival in Smith, who's 2.5 seconds clear of Dennis Collar. And Andrew Fellows will be pleased that Bostock and Howarth haven't had a great start to the night and will be nowhere near that front of the grid really in the second race. Very close now, within 3/10 of a second is Penteler. It is now or never. He doesn't want to do too much. For every time that he finishes behind Solidovic, that championship margin extends even more. That's a little bit of an obvious comment. A bit like saying whoever scores the most goals usually wins the game. Cheers for that one, Michael. Boyter not quite staying with Hoyland like he was earlier on, half a second. And it looks as though that could be it. As Wojtek gets away, coming through turn 11, he's only got a few braking zones to go. And he'll secure yet another win in this series. He joined us this season for the purposes of this championship, and so far he's been in pretty much a class of his own. I mean, Penteler the same, he joined us for this purpose, but Wojtek has been the standout. So consistent. Always pretty much on pole, I think, apart from only one round. But yet another valiant effort by both, in fact all three. Lucchesi, you can see him there coming over the crest. It's Wojtek, and then Penteler, and then Lucchesi, separated by only 1.5 seconds. An absolute great effort by those three. And it's another great performance by Max Nevinciani, who comes around the final corner. That's his braking done. We see Boyter and Hoyland now heading toward the line, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Willem Boyter will start in pole position for the next race, but Max Nevinciani crosses the line and wins the opening round for the AM class. Another stunning performance from Max. And there's Rob Smith, who brings home a P2 finish, and Dennis Collar the same. He's had a good run of form in the last few races. Down there in the standings, but right up there on the track as things stand, with Andrew Fellows returning and getting himself a good and solid P4 finish. Do what we can to summarize the standings as we get them, as all the drivers have now across the line. I think Bostock might still be on the circuit, but he will be coming around the final corner as we speak. Okay, then let's run through the order while we can. Wojciech Tulidovic once again on the top step of the podium ahead of Mateusz Penttila in P2. We've got Luke Lucchesi sharing the podium with them for RDSA Esports, the 23 machine. James Holman and Jeremy Chioka the top 5, with Johan Furey and Jan Stichbury the top 7. Rob Sutherland, Matt Hoyland and Willem Boyter the top 10, those drivers battling throughout most of the race. Paul Cowlishaw, an unfortunate incident sees him finish in P11 with Ryan Ottens and Jimmy Vyman rounding off the Pro class, with Jimmy unable to finish the race. As for the AM class, it's Max Nevinciani who leads the way tonight. Rob Smith next for Flatline Racing and Dennis Collar sharing the podium. It's Andrew Fellows and Hussein in the top 5, with Newton Lumsden the top 7. Rob Mackay, James Howarth and Mark Wesley the top 10. Have the lights. It's going to be Willem Boyter to get us underway. And let's see if this helps. See those differences. Hoyland getting a great start. Jimmy Vyman back there, who's also got a great start. And Hoyland leads the race already. It's an absolute lightning start. He's a car length clear, if not more, by the time they enter the braking zone down there at turn 1. It was Jeremy Chioka who got another lightning start off the line. And Johan Furey up the inside there of Jan Stichbury, as all the drivers now make their way through the second and third corners. Jan Stichbury moves over to defend James Holman, but has to leave him the space and comes back over to the left-hand side as Holman does move up the inside. Room afforded by Jan, and it looks as though James has got that position. Bostock and Andrew Fellows down. Fellows has crashed toward the back of the grid. Hussein going wheel to wheel with Rob Mackay. Let's bring up the race positions to see Rob Smith, Nevin Charney and Hussein Sadaka Desla currently in the top 3 in the AM class. And Rob Mackay could have something to say about that. Is he going to look to hold it around the outside? He gives it his best chance, but Huss does take that place. See Dennis Collar also down there just next to Oliver Lumsden. Ryan and Holman. Holman's just got in front and he's on the inside line as they head through turn 7. But I think Ryan's carried the speed there actually. Nick Lucchesi, Sviladovic, and is that Penttila? Yes, it is. Sviladovic, Lucchesi and Penttila showing pretty much the same part of the track. They've got Chioka in there as well. Andrew Fellows has had another incident, so his night has gone from bad to worse, and he is in the pit lane. What turned out to be quite a good finish in P4 hasn't ended up too well. Hussein is also plummeting down the order. He's lost a handful of places. The next one to his teammate Gareth Newton as they head through turn 11. And Willem Boyter under pressure for the race lead. What's happened to Hoyland? Hoyland's dropped down as well. We'll have to catch up with that. He's... Oh, and Boyter off the circuit into the gravel. And where's he going to rejoin? Is he down in 3rd? Yes, he is. Down in 3rd. And he's now got Hoyland and Holman all over the back of him. Let's go back then and see what happened to Fellows. It's a touch from Ottens, I think, is that? Oh, yeah, difficult one there. Let's see what happens, see if we can get it in this angle. There you go. Yeah, oh, and there's a DXT car on the inside. I think Andrew was probably unaware that there was 3 cars there. He just got cleaned out. Bostock also maybe getting caught up in a similar incident. We've missed exactly what happened there. We aren't showing enough of that. Then let's see what happened to Fellows once again. Is this just maybe him rejoining the track? Yes, it is. And then Huss. Was it turn 9 that Huss went off the track? Yes, it is. Here we go. Yeah, as I said earlier, it's a very commitment. How patient are you with the car to turn in? Although Huss made the best of a bad situation there and was able to keep it pointing in the right direction for most of the corner. However, he's just had another incident. Let's quickly see what happened here. He's dropped the car of his own accord, left lock on through a right-hand corner and slap bang right into the tyre barrier. I think that'll be him resetting back to the pit lane. Oh, and Holman and Hoyland making contact as they headed under the bridge through, I believe, turn 6. Yeah, the left-hander, and Hoyland frantic here. Oh, sorry, no, it's now, it's not Hoyland, it's, Chioka, who is frantically chasing down Holman up ahead. How are we getting on at the front? We've got Free, Sutherland and Boiter. The car's just leaving your picture now. The top 5 was still all to play for at the moment. Rob Smith currently leading the way in the AM class. And when did he get past Nevin Charney? See it on my timing sheet. Someone's spun around there, I think. What is it that I'm hearing? No, maybe just the rumble strips, actually. So a lot going on. We've got Pentela leading Sulidovic, leading Lucchese. Sorry, the other way around. Pentela, Lucchese, then Wojtek. As you can see, all these cars starting with Sutherland in P2. Still within very close proximity of one another. Rubino exiting the pit lane at a crawling speed there to make sure that he doesn't get in the way of all of these lead cars. James Howarth did set the fastest lap time in class up to P5, but that's quickly beaten by Robin Aston. 2:21.4. And Rob Mackay has taken Nevin Charney. See what happened there. Oh, is it a mistake? Max force wide ever so slightly with Steve Rubino getting up. The FOV of these angles not too good, but that's that's Rob Mackay now up into P2, and one of the Pro G League cars getting himself through there as well. Is that contact in behind that I hear there? No, that seems okay. I'm hearing things tonight, clearly. Very interesting to see how these guys get on. There's going to be a lot to do and a lot to see from the likes of Hoyland down to Svelidovic. Joker up the inside of Hoyland, who cuts back across the nose of Pentela. Such tight yet clean racing on display by these guys tonight. Oh, look at that late send there. Late send by Pentela up on Hoyland, and he's got that position, and now he's got Lucchese and Sulidovic, who are both going to get the run here. And Wojtek will be wise, really, not to give him the space. Keep Lucchese pinned in behind the Audi, but it's not quite going to work. Lucchese waits for his opportunity and moves to the inside line. Sulidovic resets back to the inside. Lucchese sticks his nose up. Hoyland gets a little wobble in the mid-corner and allows both of those cars through. That's Lucchese and Sulidovic up one place each. Hoyland probably not going to be able to fight that. He doesn't. He dips back in behind Sulidovic. And he's really lost minimal time, but he's back alongside. He's got the run on the exit. I was going to say losing the minimal time to the clear outright pace leaders at the moment, but Hoyland back alongside. However, by the time we get to the braking zone, he's going to be on the outside line. Hoyland, aggressive turn in there, cutting across the grass. So it's Furry and Sutherland leading the way at the front of the race. And then a nice pack of 4 or 5 drivers. Willem Boyter looking to get past Luke Lucchese, the teammate. Down here, Rob Mackay putting pressure on Rob Smith for the race lead in the AM class. Smith a little bit wide on the entry, or a little bit deep on the entry, and then Mackay very wide on the exit, which allows James Howarth through, the championship leader, now back up into P2. His night's work going well so far, all things considered. But he's got pressure from the likes of Nevin Charney as well in behind. So Smith leads the way to Howarth, to Mackay, and then it's Nevin Charney, Lumsden and Collar, who will all be optimistic of a podium finish here. Gareth Newton and Robin Aston 4 to 5 seconds behind this pack. Oh, a dip in the tyre, a dip in the gravel there by James Howarth. I don't think Rob will pressure him too much, knowing that James has a championship to compete for. Sister cars, of course, and I'm sure they'll be in the same server together at the moment, coordinating how best they can try to hold Max behind. And really, Max has to think about Lumsden. Boyter has got past Sulidovic. He leaves the space, and both of them get through turn 1. However, Sulidovic now moving up past him. Lucchese's picked up that massive gap, 1.2 seconds. These guys were neck and neck going into turn 1 last lap. Sulidovic must have had an off at some point. Been an incident for Hussein. It's the same one we saw before. My mistake, Huss. My mistake. Evan Charney thinking about getting himself up onto the podium as things stand. 9.5 minutes to go, and he's got the job done unless Mackay can get the run out of the corner, which I think he has, and crucially he's on that inside line. A great piece of driving by both of them, and Mackay takes that position back. Not so easy. All the while inviting pressure from Lumsden and Collar. Got to be careful when he picks his moments, Max, not to just do it for the sake of it. He's got to know that he can get the position and hold on to the position, but breaks down the middle of the track. Very smart. Forcing Lumsden to either take such a tight angle. Oh, and Lumsden thought about going up the inside there. Extremely risky. He did apply the brakes, and Nevin Charney left him a little bit more space. That could have been terribly wrong for... That could have gone terribly wrong for both of these drivers. I was saying Max just needs to pick his moment, make sure that he doesn't compromise himself by allowing the driver to get ahead, because you can see, really, in moving up on Mackay into P5, he's allowed Lumsden to get that run, and he's also allowed Mackay to stretch his legs ever so slightly. Toward the front of the Pro Class, it's Holman with a bit of a gap here to Chioka, who's closely followed by Matthias Penteler. And Chioka could be in a position to lose this place by the time we reach turn 1. Oh, he's making him think about it. He goes to the outside, then the inside, then the outside again, does Penteler. And then dips back in behind the Audi. Which Lucchese will be eyeing up a move while these two battle on. And Sutherland has had an incident. See what happened to him. He got passed by a whole load of cars. Is this through turn 9? Oh, no, I think. Yeah, just a little bit deep, a little bit wide, and he's got passed by 3 or 4 cars there, I think. By the time, yeah, look at that. Getting swarmed up, and then he goes off the circuit again, unfortunately. Under pressure from G-League, Penteler, I think that will be, and Lucchese. Kai and Lumsden now. Lumsden sending it up the inside. Max has had a problem. He's dropped down 4 places. Let's double check that one. How did that happen? They all got the run. Max was leading. And comes over to defend, thinks about it again. And then he gets done by both of them. Lumsden moves past and takes Mackay, and then Collar moves past and takes Nevin Charney. So, Max down the order somewhat throughout that last lap. Lumsden taking that final place on the podium as it stands. 6.5 minutes to go. Bit of a run here perhaps by Collar through the kink. We are Hoyland Cowlishaw all off the track. What's happening here? Rejoined nicely there. Hoyland, what about him? He doesn't seem to have any damage. Danny Weir, he went off the track as well, but he seems all good. Teksturidovic putting in the fastest lap, a 19.2. 2/10 quicker at least than anyone else in his competition. Actually nearly a second quicker than Lucchese on that last lap. Lucchese now is ahead of Chioka. Suridovic is going to be unable to make that move. Is Chioka just getting himself back ahead? He's on the inside line, Lucchese. And Suridovic thinks that this is opportunity, a bit of contact. I didn't actually expect the contact between those two cars. I half expected Suridovic to lunge Lucchese and for Lucchese to turn in with that stricken Chioka just on the inside. Well, he's not really stricken, he's still going, but he was just kind of stuck there on the inside of the corner. And in the end, Lucchese gets himself up. Great move. Outside. Ticking down, not too many to go, only 2 or 3. Hasn't been the usual form for Suridovic. He probably will not be able to get himself onto the podium, which, you know, not the first time, but that record, as we said, speaks for itself. He normally manages to find a way, but not tonight, and not while he's got Jeremy Chioka in front of him. However, he does have the run. Let's watch on and see how he gets on. Drafting and drafting and drafting all the way down. Oh, and he thinks about it. He has to go for it. He gets the car slowed down. However, he's still on the outside line. Wojtek, I don't really think wanted to go for that. And then all of a sudden, he was just jinked a little bit. And Chioka, with that slight movement, almost forced Wojtek's hand there. And he does get up. And now he can set after Lucchese. Willem Boyter has got his eyes set on Jain Stitchbury, which is the battle for P8. Go whizzing past the camera there through turn 4. Jain defending the inside line. Is Willem going to think about the switchback? Can he get the run? Coming out of the corner, no. They both take their usual line. Here's Rob Mackay now thinking about a move on Nevin Charney. So something has also happened to Mackay, because he was a little bit further up, I think. Not too many laps to go. Robin Aston also invited into this mix. He's just 2/10 behind Nevin Charney at the moment. Rob Smith 1.6 seconds clear. And Oliver Lumsden 1.2 seconds clear. So the podium pretty much wrapped up as we will commence one of our final laps very shortly. And that battle from Boyter and Stitchbury still going on. Let's see how they get on through the kink. Oh, and I think Boyter did just turn in a little bit too early. and that forced a tighter line, which meant that he couldn't quite get the exit right. Ran just ever so slightly wide on the exit. Not thinking about a move here into third, keeping it in third gear. Now uphill. Quick toggle of the wiper blades to get the dirt off. Close racing between the two of them. Yain doing what he has to do at the moment, and once again, Boita wide. And Mackay so close to Nevin Charney in behind. Let's hope they keep it together. And it's got Aston thinking about it as well. In behind him, here he is. Who's got the run? It looks as though... Oh, this is Ottens, sorry. Not in class. It looks as though Ottens does have the run on Mackay, which will be the last thing that Rob wants. A pro driver getting in the way on what will be the final lap of the race. But Aston was the car that we expected to pick up. I didn't realise there was a pro driver in the way. Let's quickly review the top 15. It will be Collar who is left behind, and Lumsden will make his way onto the front row. Ottens looking to get past Mackay. He won't be pleased because that's going to allow Nevin Charney a bit of time to get ahead, and he's going to run out of time, Mackay, if he's not careful. Steady on. Rob Smith and Matt Hoyland exchanging positions. Hoyland's off the track. They would have gone in front, behind, and back in front during the braking zone, which inevitably leads Hoyland off the road, and Smith takes that position. So it's Lumsden and Howarth who will stand at the front row of the grid as things stand. Brilliant for James's championship charge. He'll be leaving Nevin Charney and the likes of Bostock and Fellows, who've had another poor race, down there. And he'll have 11 pro drivers between, in fact 12 pro drivers between him and his nearest rival, aside from Smith and Lumsden. Looking to hang it around the outside. Here is Hoyland, but he can't. The tyres say no. He's got his teammate of Howarth in behind. So Johan Furey has led the way for most of the race. Got a great start. I think he started maybe in P3 or 4, and he's got himself right up into the top. And Johan Furey comes across the line to win the consolation race, closely followed by Mateusz Penteler, James Holman, Luke Lucchesi, and Wojtek Swiatovic, the top 5. And for good measure, Wojtek gets us into the 18s, the 2:18.9. Rob Smith looks as though he's just going to hang on and hold off James Howarth to the line. Is he? Yes, he will, just about. Rob Smith converts a race win, potentially his first of the season, closely followed by championship leader James Howarth, who gets himself a strong result after serving that drive-through penalty. Oliver Lumsden, the same. He had his qualifying ban, and he's got himself on pole position for the feature. So, from the back to the front in 40 minutes worth of racing. Great effort by Oliver Lumsden, Dennis Collar, and Max Nevin Charney, the top 5. Bostock coming across the line with Weir, closely followed by Newton. These guys might be very, very close by the time we cross the line. Let's see. The DXT machine of Danny Weir crosses the line by only 4/100ths of a second. And here comes Hussein Sadikadezda, the last of the finishers, actually only making his way through the kink. But we'll watch on board as the number 8 machine comes across the line to finish this race. there we are then. That is the consolation race wrapped up for this evening. Jan Free on the top step of the podium, taking home 50 points for JFR, 1.6 seconds clear of Matthias Pentler, and the two RD Sim Sports drivers sharing the podium, the Finn and the Brit of Pentler and Holman. Luke Lucchese and Wojtek slid over to the top 5. Again, a strong result for Wojtek, but not his usual returns from that usual 10th place start. Jeremy Choker, Rob Sutherland, Jan Stitchbury the top 8, with Willem Boyta and Jimmy Vyman the top 10. Paul Cowlishaw, Matt Hoyland and Ryan Ottens the final finishes for the Pro Class in P11, 12 and 13. And as for the AM Class, standing on the top step, it's Rob Smith for Flatline Racing, winning the race by only 1/10 of a second to championship leader James Howarth for DXT Audi Motorsports, the 54 machine. Oliver Lumsden for Flatline, two drivers again on the podium for Flatline as Oliver comes across the line in P3, taking home 40 points. So a joint result there, 90 points on the podium for those two guys. Dennis Collar and Max Nevenshine the top 5, with Rob Mackay and Robin Aston the top 7. Daniel Saunders, James Bostock and Danny Weir the top 10, with Gareth Newton and Hussein Sadagadezla in the top 12. Steve Rubino, Andrew Fellows and Mark Wesley unable to finish the race. Looking there, the Honda and Suma guys finishing pretty close to one another, but unfortunately for Fellows particularly, and also Wesley, unable to finish the race. So a P4 for Andrew so far, but then that P14, not what he will be hoping, what we'll be hoping for. So then, we have 3 minutes before we get underway for the final time tonight. And as always, I'm going to take a quick break. Okie dokie then. So that is the warm-up complete. I didn't see too many drivers out there. But let's quickly take a look at the grid ahead of this feature race. So crucially then for Lumsden, Howarth and Smith, who will make up the front row and the second row, sharing it with Hoyland. Those three guys in the AM class doing very well for themselves. Let's see how they get on with the likes of the pro drivers in behind them. It's Cowlishaw and Vyman with Willem Boyter and Jan Stitchbury on the front four rows with Rob Sutherland and Jeremy Chioka. Wojtek Sudovic and Luke Lucchese starting in pretty favourable positions. I'm sure they'll be optimistic of getting themselves past a handful of these drivers, and we could see Wojtek really making some good moves. James Holman and Matthias Penteler with Johan Furi, and then Dennis Collar, the next AM driver. So he just missed out on that reverse grid slot. Max Devonshire the same with Ryan Ottens, Rob Mackay and Robin Aston. And we have lights and engines, but I don't think we have... No, we don't have lights, but we have engines. Oh, we do have lights. There's 5 of them. I just couldn't see them. And we are away. It's Oliver Lumsden away first. James Howarth and Matt Hoyland and Rob Smith in behind. And all of a sudden, the 2 DXT machines almost swallowing up the flat line of Howarth. We've already got some drivers dropping down some positions. I think Daniel Saunders down ever so slightly. And who's that then? That's Howarth, who leads the race outright ahead of his teammate Matt Hoyland, which is crucial really, because Hoyland could really serve as a team player here and put up a stout defence against Lumsden and the other pro drivers to try and give Howarth some room to manoeuvre ahead. They're all now coming through turn 3. Hussein and Gareth have dropped down a few positions. Willem Boyter has gone off the circuit. Paul Cowlishaw under some pressure side by side. I think that's Ryan and Luke. Cowlishaw up on the grass for a moment there. Everyone else seemingly getting through well. That's a G League, a late move on one of the flatline cars. As Cowlishaw moves up the inside of the 129 machine. There's Carnage back there somewhere who's gone off. DXT, there's 3 or 4 cars off there. That's Saunders back to the pit lane. And we've got one guy driving the wrong way. That's Andrew Fellows round again and facing the wrong way. Wojtek, I think, also just dropped a position. Let's take a look at the positions gained for these drivers. So as we saw, oh, there's been another collision. More door bashing there. I think that was Jan Furi and Holman. Ottens, and then is it Penteler down there? No, Ottens and Sutherland down there. So the AM class at the top at the moment because Howard leads the race. It's him and Lumsden who've swapped positions. Jimmy Vyman has just taken the lead of the pro class, and Matt Hoyland dropping down the order somewhat. Has he just got a poor run through the kink? I think he has. And Ryan Ottens is off the circuit there in the background, but rejoins without causing too much trouble. Smith gets past Sudovic, who swiftly moves back up the inside, and there's been a spin. Who's that? It's Paul Cowlishaw, who's gone off the track. He rejoins ahead of Johan Furi, who moves around the outside. Is he going to get the job done? Yes, he is. Furi up a handful of positions there, and Ryan Otten's the same, who just skims the grass in order to get past Cowlishaw. Hoyland side by side. That comment that I made right at the start of the race about Hoyland trying to keep Lumsden away from his teammate Howard, that's gone down the drain pretty quickly. And Lumsden now 1.5 seconds behind the race lead, and also the class lead. Fastest lap time, as you might expect, coming across the line is a 31.4 for Howard. Cowlishaw and Sutherland side by side, and room. I didn't really see that well enough to know, but that is Sutherland off the road. See that one just one more time as they head through turn 1. We've got eyes on the Suma car there coming through now on the inside line. And does he drift wide? I think he just, you can just see it's 50-50 to be honest. Cowlishaw could probably leave a bit more room, but the RD Sim Sports car did get up on the curb, which would have naturally understeered him out slightly wider than what he would have hoped. Oliver Lumsden under pressure from Lucchese. So Howarth now still clear, and he's got 4 pro drivers between him and his nearest rival. 3 pro drivers, sorry. And then it's Svidovic next to try and take Lumsden, which will probably happen pretty quickly. Svidovic does not want to leave and let Lucchesi get ahead. Chioka then leading in class as he gets past his teammate Jimmy Vyman. Through follows Lucchesi, Lumsden, Svidovic, and then Hoyland. A swap at the front there. Howarth is actually peeled away from the side to let a few of those cars go, but he's put himself into the clutches of his competitor Lumsden, who looks like he's got a little bit of front damage there. I'm just going to see if I can see what Howarth was doing there. Did he just let them by? He got a decent run. Maybe he thinks that I think he just lets them by. Obviously, he doesn't want to lose too much time, but he's now put himself right into the clutches of Lumsden. Let's see how that one pans out. And now we have the standings back in the correct order. Chioka leads Vyman, the 2 G-League cars going well at the front, but Lucchesi says, no thank you, I'm going to split you two. And he moves up into P2, going through turn 1. Just under 15 minutes to go. And all the cars still frantically close to one another. Got Ryan Otten's very close in behind Johan Furey, and there's a car going side by side there. That's Pentela on Smith. And Johan Furey under pressure on the outside, now the inside of Stitchbury. See Ian just there, he's got 2 cars in front of him. 2 by 2 by 2, they go into turn 5. Enough room been left, and look at that, cutting across is the flatline car. Aggressive defense, Furey up the inside, Yain very close, he runs wide, touches the grass. That could allow Otten's in. Now through 7. Small run down before one more braking zone into turn 8 and then turn 9. Let's see who comes out side by side. Otten's and Stitchbury. Otten's just get through, no one going side by side through the carousel. James Howarth now under pressure. The 2 championship leaders sharing the same piece of the circuit. And Wojtek gets ahead before the king inquires by Howarth to let him through. And now the next car is Lumsden. Once again, Hoyland could put himself in a position to help his teammate, going from the outside to the inside, back over to the outside, which then becomes the inside line once again. I don't think I've ever said those 2 words so often. And Hoyland may have just got through, has he? He has, so crucially, Hoyland does what he failed to do earlier, regains that position over Lumsden, who's also now under pressure from, I believe, is that Pentela? Yes, it is. So it did look so promising for Lumsden. Now all of a sudden, he's got the pro drivers around him. Oh, and he's been spun. He's kept it going. Wow. Look at that tyre mark that he's left on the grass. And a flash of the lights there by Lumsden, who says, come on, mate, what we're doing, we're battling out a class here. That's kind of what happens when you come through such a fast corner like that. You don't often expect the car in front to close so quickly. So that now makes Hoyland's job slightly easier. He can just sit pretty here behind Howarth unless they choose to swap positions. And he can help Howarth extend that gap. Now 2.4 seconds to Lumsden in behind. Lucchesi hasn't got a win so far this season. And he'll be hoping that Vyman can do something to hold past Svidovic. And as I say that, Svidovic takes that place. So Luke really needs to get past the other G-League car if he wants to get his hands on a win, which I would love him to do. He's been here for a long time in the SR, always toward the front of our GT3 grid, but hasn't got himself on the top step of the podium so far this season. Could the feature race tonight be his chance? Now pressure. More and more pressure from Lucchese, forcing the G-League to the inside line. He could get the run here, Lucchese. Tricky to get it slowed down right. And you can see that from Chioka. Lucchese's going to have to give up, I think, here. Just allow a little bit more space to get through this corner. Coleman past Hoyland for P6. Right on with the guys at the front. You can see the forward wheel drive kicking in there. A slight instability through the corner. And Lucchese does have the run. He's going to move over to the inside line, but he doesn't want to come out the slipstream too soon. And sooner than he could move out the slipstream, Chioka moves to that inside line to defend. Under break, and Lucchese looks to get control. To get his foot down a little bit sooner, that's forced him wide. Again, another opportunity. This time he will go up the inside. Svidovic not wasting time here either. He could have a run on the pair of them. And we could see these top three positions changing hands pretty quickly. Lucchese will be thinking, what do I have to do to get Svidovic out of my mirrors? But he's always there. Always watching. And Lucchese does make that move. He does make that move. He couldn't really wait any longer. Svidovic also thinking about the move. Are either of them going to back out? Lucchese doesn't get it done. Svidovic goes deep, but does get it slowed down just before the exit of the corner and takes P2. Lucchese kicking himself. He's still up the inside, but he has to concede. Is he going to concede? I think so. Let's see. Lucchese does have to concede that place, and it looked so promising for him going through turn 5. And then it was quickly actually, undone. And Svidovic was able to get up the inside before the entry of 6. Looked pretty ropey before the exit, but held it together. Howarth still with a good margin to Lumsden, 1.5 seconds, and Nevin Charney doing well to keep himself on the podium, but he's got another informed driver of Robin Aston to deal with. That's actually right on with those guys because they are closing in and closing in. And let's see, can Aston put a move on him here? He defends the inside line. Very tricky to go around the outside of this corner. Max does leave the room. Driven. Kai, Boita, and all of a sudden, look at this, it's 3 wide, and I thought he was going to turn in on him there. A little bit of a tricky exit. Who is that? That's Rob Smith, who looked as though for a moment he was going to turn in on the RDSA machine, but didn't. Off the circuit. Oh my god, everyone's off the circuit. Willem Boita worse than most. And he rejoins and he overtakes off the track there, actually. Technically, I think. But I guess if Lumsden went off the track... if Smith went off the track as well, there's not too much he can do about that. Is Mackay going to fight this one? Yes, he is. Up the inside he goes. Just about enough room given by both drivers here. It's an out-of-class battle between Boita, who's down there in P12 in class, and Mackay fighting for P10. Still, they go side by side through 3. And Boita gets the better of Mackay on that occasion around the outside. We've got the 2 DXT machines going side by side at the back of the field. Jeremy Chioka under pressure by Luke Lucchese as Wojtek has taken the lead of the race. So we saw that happen. We saw him take P2. Let's go back and see how we got him. Actually, Lucchese momentarily took the lead. Let's see. Oh, this was, of course, earlier on. Oh, this is what we watched earlier, but I didn't think Wojtek had taken that position at that moment. No, he didn't. Wojtek took the position later on. I think I've just missed that one. I don't see that move on my timing sheets to put Svidovic ahead of Lucchese. But he's there nonetheless. Casey putting him under pressure once again, moves over to defend, but is the Casey going to force himself to the what will be the inside line again? You don't want to lose the slipstream effect too early, but equally, if you stay in the slipstream, you just give your opponent the opportunity to dictate the corner, and that's exactly what Chioka has done once again, keeping Lucchese behind as Wojtek Svidovic extends that gap at the front, nearly 1 second now. Oh, and he's off. Chioka's off. I looked away for a moment there. I'm not sure if there was contact. But he is off. Let's see what happened here. Is this it? Does he just spin? I think he does just spin it. He's already gone when we catch him. And that's Jeremy Chioka back into the pit lane. Three very different lines there. And a bit of an excursion by Hoyland as he bounces over the grass. That won't mind too much for Howarth. That doesn't matter. He's still got his teammate between him. Actually, two drivers now in between him and his nearest rival. Four minutes to go this race. All of these races tonight actually have absolutely flown over. I thought I was going to struggle. It was very, very hot in here. I mean, I'm only sitting at my desk, so it's not as bad as some of these guys who are sitting in a sim rig, surrounded by screens and computers. I mean, I'm surrounded by screens and computers as well, but, you know, it's different, isn't it? But I'm not struggling as bad as I thought, so fingers crossed it's the same for some of these guys, although some of the temperatures that these guys' rooms get up to, I'm surprised they can even sit down there for an hour, to be honest. 2 hours more like. Lucchese has had a problem as well. Let's see what happened here for Lucchese. Penteler got past him for third place. Is that him off the track? Are we going to see him there? No, it's Fireman off the track. Lucchese going slowly. I wonder if that's a slowdown or if he's got damage. It doesn't look like he's got damage. Perhaps a slowdown penalty for Lucchese, but I'm struggling to think around where you would pick that up around this track. But Lucchese down 3 places. So he's going to have to wait for that win, which doesn't seem like it's going to come tonight. He's given that opportunity back to this man. 3.3 seconds now to Jimmy Vyman in behind. He's got Matthias Penteler and James Holman within a second of him for company. Fowler shows you thinking about it. Oh god, a double overtake almost unintentionally. I think he thought that Hoyland was going to come out from behind his teammate and he kind of had to take 2 stabs at the entry. But a great double overtake there by Cowlishaw, who gets himself up into P9 in class and gains 2 positions on the road. Again, not something that Hoyland or Howarth will probably mind as long as Lumsden stays behind. Hoyland doing what he has to do. Cowlishaw temporarily flipping out of the game, but he's back. At 20 to go. This could be the final lap. We'll have to keep our eyes peeled to see. We get a white flag. That's right on with Pentler as he looks to displace Jimmy Vyman for P2, and he may well do it here. The flag is out. It's the final lap of the night. And as they cross the line for the final time, Matthias Pentler is about to get himself up into P2, and he does it before the braking zone. Gets the job done, and Holman might find an opportunistic move going through turn 3 here. Not quite. I don't think it's going to be enough. He's got Johan Furey behind him who thinks about it but dips out, and he does nearly put a wheel alongside there, Holman, but never enough to commit to the move. That has, however, offset Vyman ever so slightly, and Holman and Furey are probably going to get by him before the next braking zone. Matthias Pentler now up 5 seconds clear of Wojtek Stredovic. Let's see how these men get on as they head into the braking zone. One by one, they go through and around the outside. No, both cars going off the track. Holman is now on the inside line. And he's going to move up past Johan Furey. He gets it done. He shuts the door and says, "This is my position now." I want to go back to Robin Aston, who's putting pressure on Oliver Lumsden, also for P2. Things stand then, the two championship leaders coming home to win the race. And as we said, a great start and a great finish in the end for Oliver Lumsden, having started with that drive-through penalty, finding himself with a strong result in the second race and the third race. And James Howard the same, serving that drive-through can equally sometimes actually be worse than having to do the quali-ban, because you find yourself so far back when you come out of the pit and it's almost impossible to recover, especially in a sprint race. I think that might be Aston's last opportunity. He doesn't quite have the run. That's right on board with this man then, as he heads around the final corner for the final time here, ahead of the two penultimate rounds. Hockenheim and Portimao await these drivers in the next 2 weeks. Lovely shot there down the centre of the Honda, and Wojtek Stredovic comes across the line to win for the second time this evening in the feature. Matthias Pentler does well to move up the order in P2. James Holman, Johan Furey and Jimmy Vyman, the top 5. Let's go down now to the AM-Class Championship leader, who's had the support of his teammate as those two cross the line together. James Howard comes across to win the AM-Class feature race, closely followed by Oliver Lumsden and Robin Aston and Max Nevencharny in P4. The men in form continuing their job, and it looks like we've got a lot of happy drivers who are all flashing the lights. James Bostock P6, Dennis Collar P7, Hussein Sarakadesla in P8. That's going to round off a good night's racing. Here's Rob Mackay crossing the line now in P10. Mark Wesley, P11. Danny Weir coming through the final corner, closely followed by Rob Smith, who did have an incident earlier on. I don't think we caught it, and you can see the damage to the front left and the complete rear end of that car. Must have been a pretty big one, and unfortunately that sees him down there in P12 and 13. Andrew Fellows, unfortunate for him, a P4 and 2 P14 finishes. So less than ideal for the man who's trying to get his championship back on the rails. It started well, but unfortunately it didn't end all that well. So for the final time tonight then, let's take a look at the feature race finishes first with the Pro Class. Wojtek Stredovic continues to lead the way on the top step of the podium. Matthias Pentler and James Holman share him for RD Simsports. Johan Furey and Jimmy Vyman the top 5, with Luke Lucchese, Ryan Ottens and Jijn Stitchbury the top 8, and Paul Cowlishaw getting past Matt Hoyland toward the end of the race, getting himself up into P9, and Hoyland finishing in the top 10. Willem Boyter in P11 before Jeremy Chioka and Rob Sutherland finishing laps down, unable to finish the race. And as for the AM-Class, it's James Howarth who, with the help of his teammate, comes across to win once again in the AM-Class, extending his lead at the top of the championship, particularly with Bostock and Fellows having a poor night of it. And the same can be said for Rob Smith, who's now in the top 3. Oliver Lumsden and Robin Aston for Flatline and Suma GP2 Hyundai will share the podium. and Max Nevinciani and Steve Rubino, the top 5. Good result for Steve there, actually. I'm not sure if he's had too many top 5s in his time here, but good result for him. James Bostock, Dennis Collar, and Hussein Starakadesla, P6, P7, and P8, with Gareth Newton and Rob Mackay rounding off the top 10. Mark Wesley and Andrew Fellows, the top 12, with Danny Weir, Rob Smith, and Daniel Saunders. The top 15, with Saunders unable to finish the race. I was wrong there about Andrew. I thought it was 2 P14s, but it's a 4, 14 and a 12. So slightly better, but still not the kind of result that he would be hoping for as such. Okie dokie then. So we have 2 men currently waiting for a chat. So let's first bring in Andrew Fellows, although let's not make him sit and watch him having a crash. That wouldn't be the best for a Muddy, although we can see that damage there, unfortunately, on his car. There's not too much I can really do about that. Do anything, I'm going to make sure that the audio will work, which I'm sure it now will. And for the first time in a couple of weeks, we're going to bring in Andrew Fellows, who's been away. He missed the last round, but he's back joining us tonight. Andrew, mate, how have you been? Been a while.
Yeah, been good. Couldn't make last week. I was on holiday the week before. I had to shoot off straight after the race so I could go to work. But yeah, back tonight. All right in the first race. Second and third, not so good.
Yeah, talk me through that first one. Obviously, coming back, dusting yourself down, getting the rust off, and you've come across in P4, which is, a strong position, I'm sure.
Yeah, race 1 was pretty good. Had a terrible start. I don't know what it is with my starters lately. And then I ended up dropping down the order, but then there was an incident coming through, I think is it the kink towards the end of the lap, between James, Robin, and Paul.
Yes.
All 3 teammates, unfortunately. And so they spun off. I run at the back of Paul because he braked, but I managed to get through it. And then I was chasing Dennis for a bit, but he was just too quick. I couldn't catch him. So yeah, 4th was good. And then race 2 unfortunately got spun out turn 1, and then race 3 was even worse. But yeah, race 2 I got spun out and went to the pits because I was damaged. And then when I rejoined, because I'd towed to the pits because I couldn't get round, I hadn't got my limiter on, so it gave me a drive for it. It gave me a stop and go.
Down on that lap.
That's it. Yeah, that's why I was a lap down. So I finished the race, but a lap down.
Yeah, I noticed that. I saw your comment, and I do that all the time. I keep meaning to say, failed to finish on the lead lap, and I never do. So it makes it seem like I'm saying that you didn't finish. But yeah, that explains a lot. That explains a lot. Unfortunately, we're watching the replay of your car with a bit of damage, which I imagine came in the final race. It's crabbing ever so slightly. So did you have to put up with that damage for quite a long stint, or was it later on in the race?
No, so what it was, lap 1, as you come, I think it's turn 4 or 5. So as you come down the long straight, you've then got the left-hand turner downhill braking. I had made a good start for a change, and I was up like P11, P10, and I braked about the same time as I normally would on the inside, which was just too late, and I ended up going straight over. Unfortunately, collecting Rob and Danny.
Yes, we did see that. I didn't see the build-up, but I saw 3 or 4 cars off the track. Yeah, of course, I remember that one. Well, yeah, it's mate, these things happen. But what do you have targets now for the end of the season? Because you left the top 3, I think, for the first time all season, and obviously you would have needed another pretty strong result tonight to keep that going. So you're just looking forward in these final 2 rounds.
Yeah, I think if I can finish in the top 5, I'll be happy. Obviously, my debut season with you guys, and yeah, I mean, I was in the race for quite a while, early in the championship for quite a while, just by consistent results really, and not getting caught up in any incidents. But it seems to be the last few rounds, it's my turn to to get caught up in the incidents.
Absolutely.
But it is what it is. So if I can just be consistent and try and keep in the top 5, then I'll be happy.
And how do you look ahead to Hockenheim and Portimao? Those are two pretty tricky circuits. I know Portimao is probably the trickiest circuit I know I can think to mind. So that could separate people on that final round.
Yeah, Hockenheimring, I've got to do some practice because I've not driven that for a long time. And then Portimao, think I'll be all right. I've done a few GT rounds there. I don't think I'm going to be ballistic, but at least I know which way goes left and right, so I've got half a chance. But yeah, I'll just keep practicing, just see how I get on, and just hope that I don't do too bad. And I think James has nearly got one hand on that trophy. He's had another strong night, race 2 and race 3 after his drive through in race 1. So more credit to him and everyone else that's been racing tonight. It's some really good guys.
Absolutely, mate, and that's totally right. Keep on practicing and see what results you can get. And as always, good to speak to you, and good to hear you talking so highly of the competitors. We've got you down as one of the gentlemen of the league, so good, and keep that up. We appreciate the cleanliness on and off the track. It's very good to see.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, unfortunately, I messed up in that race and took a couple of people out, which is unfortunate. But you know, you can't always have a clean race, I suppose. But yeah, I've apologised.
Good, mate. That's the only thing you can do. Stuff happens.
So
okay,
nice
mate.
one. Appreciate that, Joe.
Very good, and good to speak to you again, mate. And good luck in the upcoming week.
And you, mate.
Cheers, mate. See you later.
Cheers, mate.
Okay, always good to speak to Andrew. As I say there, we're always highly complimentary of his ability, and he's turned up in the league, and he's a good example. Usually keeps it clean, and he's a good guy in the server as well. So always good to speak to him. Only one more to do, which is good, and that will be the championship leader at the moment, and that is James Howarth. Let's go ahead and bring him in as he extends the lead at the front of the championship. James, mate, another pretty good night for you tonight.
Yeah, it's just a shame about the first race, actually. Obviously, I had to serve the drive-through, but second race and third race was on the pace.
Yeah, we were saying actually how you and Oliver both did very well to get from, the back of the class to the front of the class and get yourself onto the front row as well for the final race. Was a great display, and it's, it kind of shows that you're leading the championship, because if you can have a horrible drive through and then claw your way back through the reverse grid system, and you ended up with a very, very strong position. What was happening in the third race between you and Hoyland? Was he trying to help you out and just, give you that gap behind, or was you just both eyes forward and just trying to drive?
So Matt was telling me to let the X amount of cars through to know it's safe. So I was just keeping my eyes forward, trying to nail my exits, and Matt was just there to hold my hand, basically.
Good stuff. And we look ahead then, the final 2 rounds, Hockenheimring and Portimao, 2 challenging tracks, but I don't want to speak too soon on behalf of you, but I think that might be one hand on the trophy if you can keep it clean in those races. How do you find those 2 circuits? Have you done many laps?
Portimao, obviously I know that through F1. Hockenheim, I've done a few on iRacing, but I am missing Portimao, unfortunately.
Okay, well, Bostock says the same. I think he's missing a round, and obviously Andrew's missed a round last week, so all of you could be closed in. I'm not sure about the drop round. I think that's already included in the standings, but I think James had almost written himself off because he was missing a round. But if you're missing the final round, then that could be be swing it, and you can't drop that round either, I don't believe. So that could really change things at the end. So maybe a strong result is needed for you next week.
Yeah, well, I've got to get the practice in, so luckily I'm off work. So
good news. Okay, mate, good. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we end?
Yourself for the commentary. I think you're doing an amazing job. The DXT lot. Rob Smith for his first ever win in TCR.
Oh, good. I think I missed that one, actually.
Yeah. So, Yeah, all them
Good
pretty
ways.
much.
Well, I appreciate that. And yeah, I'm obviously somewhat friendly with the DXT folk as well. So always good to see you guys doing well. And as always, yeah, thanks for joining me. You and Andrew, good to chat to. And hey, let's see. 2 weeks to go. Let's see where we end up.
Yeah, let's hope I get a triple podium. So
yeah. Absolutely. We still need someone to get a triple race win after Bostock did it in the early of the season, but no one's got there yet. So let's see if he can hang on to that before the end of the season.
Well, practice starts tomorrow then, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Good mindset, mate. Good mindset. Right, good stuff. Thanks for joining me, and enjoy the rest of your week. And we'll see you on track this time next week.
All right, take care, Joe.
Cheers, mate. Okie dokie then. Always good to speak to those guys. And yeah, it's just good to hear, you know, that they're all eyes down and they're all putting on the practice. We heard Andrew saying, all I can do is dust myself down and do the practice laps. And there's James saying the same thing. It'll surely be a good end to the season, particularly in the AM class. I'd like to think that we've got a slight, you know, I don't want to rule Pentala or Lucchese out just yet, but Wojtek is just on fire. He has been all season. But I still think with these drop rounds and with Howarth missing one more round, you know, those guys, Smith, Fellows and Bostock, all definitely within a shout, bearing in mind there's 150 points up for grabs every night, and we've still got 2 rounds to go. So 300 points could be swung. Still, that's plenty to go. So that's going to be it for us and from me tonight. And as we said, we have 2 weeks to go. Next week at the Hockenheimring in Germany, and the following week around the tricky undulating circuit of Portimao, which is probably one of the most challenging circuits, at least in my opinion, on any calendar and on any game, with some very, very difficult acceleration zones, difficult braking zones. And to be honest, it's pretty fitting for a championship end, because that will really separate the men from the boys. I hope you've all enjoyed, those of you who were in chat and those of you who were watching, and we will catch you all this time next week once again for the penultimate round of the opening season of the Touring Car Championship here at Evolution Sim Racing. Have a good week, everyone. Speak soon.